Just eating some apples this morning. Hello, everybody.
Morning.
I am going to pull up the thread just to make sure I have it on my phone. Make sure it is streaming. Should be. Perfect. Okay. Sweet. The way this rolls at the moment, because we're talking about updating the way we do Q&A calls. At the moment, we are pulling questions, and I'm eating a snack.
There it is.
Hello to people joining us. Good morning. Cool. I think the people joining us is just me and Derek. Oh, and Sonia. Hello. Yay, Sonia's free for the live. Good. Yes. I know not everyone can make every Q&A call, but that is A-okay. And we're going to make it even better and more easy to navigate, hopefully in the future too. What is going on with my hair? I hate when I just wash my hair. I'm like more of a my hair needs to be dirty kind of girl. So my hair is like too clean, which is funny. Yay, Sonia. So glad you're here. Sonia, I don't know if Derek's dropping questions if you had any yesterday, but if you have some, feel free to drop them in the comments. And we're just going to blow through them and get as much done as we can in this hour. And then I am off to Toronto, so that's kind of fun. I have a flight at 12:50, so I will be leaving at 11 for sure. Cool. Mary's here. Yay. Cool. Derek is just loading your comments. We just saw one come in. Cool. I like when people are here because then we can get clarification if we need it. I wish I had the same too clean hair. I don't know. I just don't like it. I literally have a product that is supposed to make my hair dirty. Yeah, isn't this what you signed up for, to watch somebody eat apples? I feel like it's like an ASMR thing. Like, is that gross? ASMR chewing probably isn't very popular.
I don't know.
Man, we have a lot of questions this week.
Questions.
So the reason why Derek uploads all of them in post is so we can be fancy and put them across the bottom. So this little killing time at the beginning was part of that. So in the meantime, I think I'm going to pull up Mary's question since she's on. And then we'll go from the top after that. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Derek's face. Derek's favorite part about this whole thing. I know it's not easy to read. I'll say that. But we don't really do it so you guys can read. I know that sounds weird. We do it for the people who are watching and wrote it, so they can see like when their question's being answered. So I know it's really hard to like read, but it just all keeps us on the thing. You do like seeing me eat apples. That's funny. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Yeah. Cool. So we're starting with Facebook. I like, why can't I talk? We're starting with Mary's question. Okay. Getting social media feedback on storybook endings. In my course on parenting for peaceful siblings, I'm having to cut the material into 2 different classes. Less storybook endings for the first class. Totally fine. I think smaller courses should have less storybook endings. Yeah, so in my way of talking about getting feedback for your storybook endings, it's definitely not like, is this enough value? Because that's like I think the idea of getting feedback from your current audience, like around pricing and stuff, is helpful, but it's also not like the end all be all, because every single person has like their own money shit, right, that they bring to the table. And so I have said this lots of times, and I'm pretty sure I say it in the course, like, the money, that the value you put on something is totally made up, and it positions you in a certain way. And so if you come to somebody and you blatantly say, like, is this valuable enough? They might just try to be nice and be like, yes, when they might not even pay you that anyways. And so I think the context is really important to, like, think about getting feedback and how serious you take that feedback. If they're not your ideal client, their feedback literally does not matter. If they are not an ideal student, I should say, their feedback doesn't matter. So when you're just asking for feedback on Facebook, you know, or in a group or something like that, if you're not positive that every single person that's offering feedback is a student, a potential student, then their feedback really actually does matter. So I could tell you, yeah, this looks really valuable as your teacher, but in the end, I'm not the one actually pulling out my credit card or suffering from the problem you're going to solve. That's the person whose opinion matters. Now, it doesn't mean don't get feedback from your audience, but it's all about the filter with which you take in that information, what you determine that feedback means. If you determine that it means that you should lower your price to free or like $20 or whatever, that creates very real actions for you and for like your future students. So I agree with you that it does make them doubt your value, right? So I'm thinking, and I would also add the part of a poll in stories, because you don't want to confuse your audience with market research versus marketing. Guess what? That doesn't matter. So you're not confusing them. You can ask them their opinions on anything and they're engaging. That's a positive. Whether or not, and I think market research is a form of engaging your audience. So you shouldn't see them as separate. Any sort of behind the scenes leading up to a launch of your beta is going to create content for you. So don't worry about confusing them in the fact that your marketing is just you talking about the thing you have anyways. It's very possible that it can be that. So for me, I don't think you need to worry about confusing your audience, but I do think when I think of market research, it's less a random poll on Facebook and the more value you're going to get out of it is like a phone call, which is, or any sort of conversation in DM. Conversational selling with Amanda Bond, that Masterclass Mania, one of those bonuses, would be a great place to look because it, you know, yeah, like I said, drive-by story, just being like, yeah, that's valuable. And it's like 10 people vote and I'm not even an ideal student. It doesn't mean anything. But if someone were to say, yes, like, I would love a course on this, and then you talk to them about why it would be valuable to them, that's an ideal person to talk to. And the deeper you go, the more actual information you're getting, because the surface level stuff isn't that helpful. I think the other last part of this is like, don't put so much meaning on like one or a couple people telling you if a course is valuable or not. It's just not the end all be all. That's why we run the beta. That's why you launch in the way that I teach, because that's really actually how you find out. Like when the pedal hits the metal and you're in it, or the rubber hits the road, which is the better phrase than that. I think rubber hits the road is a better phrase, but that's like what you're really looking for. So I hope that's helpful. I don't know if there's anything else. Yeah, I agree. How to create that context is likely one-to-one. Agreed. It's likely one-on-one and having those conversations. If you've watched Market Like a Teacher in that interview where I teach you the market research, that's such a valuable tool because you can actually talk to people and say, what would you pay for this? You know, are you curious of when it would open? Because you literally go through all the questions you about your course topic that will help you doing market research, and then might even get them on your short list for being interested in your product. So I think that's a better thing. It doesn't mean don't do it. I'm just saying don't give so much weight to it.
So, I just copied all the questions to add to the post later.
Wait, what? Oh, okay. Okay, let's go with Megan's question. Don't apologize for that type of question. It's a pretty common.
If you already have Kajabi, then go for it. If you don't have anything, Member Vault's what we recommend.
It's less about the actual platform. It is a little bit for us. But I always recommend using what you already have. Because changing is such a big deal. Changing anything is such a big deal.
Right.
So we try to save people money. If you've already paid for Kajabi, I know there's sometimes they have annual plans and stuff. If you've already paid for it, hands down, definitely use it. If you're in a month-to-month thing and you haven't actually set it up yet, I mean, then you could switch. I mean, that's the other thing is I know there's a lot of people that come around here and they're actually paying for something like Kajabi without anything being in it. So it's a question of where you're at. Hopefully that's helpful. But yes, I would never tell you to like do more work. It's not that important as my beta teaching probably shares. Vaughn, how do you market when most of your Facebook friends are not your target audience? You need to work on building that. If you do not have any previous clients, which means you've never sold anything on the internet, I highly recommend going into market like a teacher. You should not be starting with a beta if that's the case. If you have sold something to people, that's your ideal audience for this new course. And you would reach out in the selling module, in the enroll module. I teach you how to reach out to past clients, not for necessarily them to buy the course, but also if they know somebody. And so, yeah, you need to slowly start building your audience and working backwards from the course that you're selling and start creating content around the stuff that you teach and start, doing that kind of thing. Your road is a lot longer and that's okay. And it's not that, you can't, have a successful beta 90 days from now. You definitely can, but the key is you're going to have to be putting in a different type of day-to-day work. You just need to start, connecting with people and showing how you can help them. And by showing how you can help them, it means talking about how you help people and what your course will potentially be a thing. Okay, Yvonne. So, if this is a brand new business, you definitely need to watch Market Like a Teacher. Have you watched it yet? Cool. Hi, yay, Kate's on. She's a brand new student. Welcome. So excited you're here. Cool. Okay. And I know Yvonne is on. We'll chime in when I hear back from you too. Jula, my beta is going to be 97 for 6 weeks. Woo, that is cheap. I don't know if you want to add a 1 to that possibly. Should I offer a VIP version or save that for later? Should I over-deliver value on the beta by offering a bonus private coaching session? I do not think you should offer a bonus private coaching session at that price point. I think if you made it $297 or $497, everyone possibly could get that depending on how many people you're thinking, but 97 is way too cheap for that. So I would only include that if you're raising your price. Now, could you have an upgrade for people? Yeah. I talk about that in like upsells, cross sells, and whatever, downsells or whatever module. And I try to tell people don't make it complicated, but I know you've done this before, and so I'm not as worried about you doing something like that. And so the idea that you could have a VIP version, just know what that is and price that out and see if that makes sense for you too. But I would really caution you from going from a 97 for 6 weeks and giving that much of your time. Because remember, when I talk about pricing, it's not just like what it looks like to your potential future students, but it also is like your own time investment and to make sure you don't like resent the students that's like all of that. Because like it has to feel somewhat even. It doesn't have to be perfect. You could go at a loss, this beta round, knowing the potential of what it is, what you're creating and how it can pay you back again and again the more you teach. But you definitely don't want it to be like, man, you're giving so much and you're not getting that much in return. If you're doing a volume thing and you're trying to get a ton of people to join for 97, again, not offer one-on-one, then that makes sense. But I would just think about the size of your audience who is ready to hear this from you. Are they waiting for it? Because then the volume, you probably could get a lot of people. Cool. Yvonne saying, I'm not sure, I've seen many things. So yeah, at the end of this live, I would click on Market Like a Teacher and see if you've seen that.
Mm-hmm. It's a bonus at the end of the course, one of the modules. So
yeah.
Bonus.
It's basically a course.
Yeah, a little mini course.
An extra course.
Mm-hmm.
Mary is saying that hits on the issue in my next question I posted. If you give private one-on-one, you can't duplicate that later. No, exactly. It doesn't. So here's the whole thing is private one-on-one coaching is never going to be the same thing as a course. It just won't. And that's okay. And you have to be comfortable with that as the teacher. The private one-on-one coaching in a beta, I would say, is it's going to get them great results, but it's also going to give you more data. That's how you look at it from a teacher perspective. Now, if you're saying that you think that that student only got results because they had you one-on-one, maybe, and I don't know that that's entirely true as well, or that that is lying when you're doing marketing in the future, because I think their testimonial, their case study, their evidence that your process worked, even if it included one-on-one, means that you're getting better at your framework and moving people through it. So I would still argue that it's valid. A lot of people use, when they're launching a beta or a new thing they've never taught before, and they don't have student testimonials, working with you is a positive and is used as a testimonial. So I don't see any problem with it. I think it's more of a how you think about it in your head. Like a framing thing. Okay. Catherine. Do I need to have a PayPal business account for member vaults?
Yes.
Do you need an official business license?
No. Nothing. PayPal doesn't care about your government standing. It's just...
Which is interesting. I wonder
just
why.
link your bank account. That's it. You just have to verify your bank account. They deposit like 9 cents, 5 cents, and you have to verify that amount hit your bank. That's all.
If you're, kind of brand new to taking money online, I would encourage you to separate personal and business accounts. Just make sure you're doing that from the beginning for tax purposes. It makes life so much easier. But it's not related to anything licensing or like license or being legal. Oops. I was thinking that was your second question, Mary. Here's her second question. Okay. Mary's second question. How to include a mastermind or time of sharing for each student down the road in final iterations, check-ins where students proclaim what they've accomplished and what they're taking away. So work in an evergreen passive to the teacher in an online course. So you get to make it however like you want it set up. So we do a weekly Q&A, and this feels really good for me. It can be something that you offer for a little while just to stay really close to your students in a more of a group coaching type setting. And you can decide if it's once a month. You could decide if it's every other week. You could decide if it's weekly. And I would say that what you're talking about is very different than a Q&A, but that's a deliverable. I would push it to once a month, something like that. And I think that that's totally fine. And I think in an evergreen setting, just like following through on that is totally fine. Yep. Now, when you have hundreds and hundreds of students, here's where you now start saying, how do I bring on maybe more coaches or people that can help with that? Or how do I automate that system? And maybe it's not so much that. But I would even argue at 200 or 300 people, not everyone is going to want to show up to calls or feel like they need to. So you could probably get away with that for a pretty long time. I know Brooke Castillo, who has a membership site that's $300 a month. She has multiple coaches, but she is also a coach in it. So this is the highest person. She still does coaching because she freaking loves it. And so the people just show up and they submit questions ahead of time. And she has several thousand people at $300 a month. So I would also just and that's a membership site, by the way, which is sometimes a little bit different than a course. Not sometimes, it is, as far as outcomes and results and the time it takes to get there. But hopefully that helps. So I think you get to decide what it looks like. You just need to make sure the value is being recognized in your pricing too. You might want to, that's really valuable if you're showing up and doing live coaching, but it's totally doable. And then the part about skewing positively the results of the beta. I mean, so here's the funny thing. I teach that your beta is actually a better version of other courses. The funny thing is the general mainstream people that teach course creation makes betas seem less valuable. So it's so funny that my students are like, oh, my beta is going to be too valuable. That's okay.
Make it as valuable as you can.
Make that as valuable as you can. Guarantee the results. make it the minimum awesome course that it is. And then when it comes to like, marketing for the next round, it doesn't mean that it's skewed positively. It just means, because remember, you're co-creating with them. So you're just guaranteeing that they get the result. It's just another risk guarantee that they have as the student. And it makes it easier for you to sell.
You're going to see how they get the result in the beta version, and then your job is to come up with a way to do that for the evergreen version.
Yeah.
With which knowing that there's going to be less support.
Correct.
Less one-on-one, less touch points.
Exactly. And that intimacy, which I, talk about in the masterclass and stuff, that intimacy is how you learn as a teacher what people really need help with. So, they're getting a great deal and they get access to you and you're creating your content based on that interaction. You're making that future content better.
Yep.
So that's how I look at it. What are the options for checking in that check-in so I'm not a part of it? So that's a great point. We haven't sent it yet, right? Our 90-day check-in. I saw that it was checked off in Asana.
It's set up, and it's been less than 90 days since I set it up, so it hasn't gone out yet.
Oh, wait. Why wouldn't we just send it out and then do 90 days from there? Why would we wait?
I don't remember. I haven't looked at it in a long time.
Okay. Do you want to explain what you did?
It's an automation and active campaign that when somebody joins the course, they're thrown in an automation that says wait for 90 days, and then after 90 days they get sent a survey link that says, hey, how's it going? Just checking in, making sure things are going well. Could you answer some questions about your progress in the course? That kind of thing. So that's an active campaign automation.
So there's things like that.
And then we have the hot seat automation, which is something different, which is based on when you put in your launch date for the calendar, and then an email goes out around that date to say like, hey, come.
You've earned your spot for the class, the hot seat. Yeah.
And it checks that you've completed modules, I think 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah. So Mary, it's something, just know that it's possible and that you don't really have to worry about it now, but it is related to your curriculum and the results that you're promising your students. And for me, access to me, rather than being on a monthly call every month that everyone gets, I make it something they have to earn. So that works for the way my course is set up. And I like that kind of thing because it actually encourages completion as well. And it helps them where they need it most.
So depending on what tech you use, you can set up automations to do that stuff. Active Campaign is really good at that.
Yeah, because they do like custom fields.
Mm-hmm.
Can we send out that 90-day thing right now to students who've been in longer than 90 days?
I'll think about it.
Okay. Catherine Novak is transitioning one-on-one services away from a third-party marketing platform. So I need a new way for people to pay me. Oh, yeah. I would love to do this in Member Vault so they get my exposure to other offers. Do you have suggestions for how to make it work effectively? My one-on-one services are in person. They pay per hour. Some with me once a week. Others need to meet only once or twice. Derek is the best person to answer this question as far as
capturing.
I know he is. So I was about to say that. So he's going to be able to explain it to you, but he's taking a note for something in Asana really quick. Okay.
Which question was it?
She's basically asking using Member Vault to sell one-on-one services. We do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a product in Member Vault, and you don't have to make any modules or lessons associated with the product. It's literally just a checkout page. For example, our tune-up, when you purchase it, all it says is like you'll be getting an email, and that's all that's in that product. And then we send an email saying, hey, can you reply with this information for us?
You could go look at it right now, right?
Well, I'm saying like what's on the other end after you purchase.
Oh,
like there's no lessons or anything in it.
Yeah.
It's literally just a sales page. And then when they buy it, it's the welcome message that you can put in Member Vault that just says you'll get an email. And
there are other ways to set it up, right? Mm-hmm. Like you could put Acuity booking, like the thank you page on Member Vault could be an Acuity booking.
Yeah, you don't
like
have to send an email even. It could just be a link to sign up for a meeting call with you or something.
Yeah, so then she's saying, my one-on-one services are in person and they pay per hour. So I guess my question is, whatever you're using now is likely something that could translate in Member Vault. Mm-hmm. I'm curious, like if I was going to book you for 5 hours, if I pay per hour, I guess I am curious about that part. Like, how do I check out for the hours? Do people buy packages? That part feels weird because if you have to buy an hour every hour separately, can you do a number of products in?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's how you would
You can
do
buy,
it then.
yeah. Is that Member Vault? Oh no, sorry, I'm mixing things up
Thrive
because
Card.
I just did Thrive Card setups.
Member Vault, you can't buy multiple
I
products.
don't remember if it's got that option.
So,
But either way, however you do it now, what you could do, say you do it in Acuity, which does charging, and I'm guessing you have some sort of calendar set up. You can have them pay through that, and you can have the Member Vault product when they say, I'm interested, I want to buy. It goes to an outside page, which is maybe how you've been selling it so far. So you can just use Member Vault as like the sales page, quote unquote, and have it with your other products like your beta or something like that so people see that it's available, but then link out to wherever else you were selling it before.
cool. And then Christine. I'm admittedly very behind. There is no behind in BBB. We are all doing what we can with what we have. Okay. This is tough. This is what I struggled with actually at the early days of my transition as well. All existing client work and obligations and have the time and energy to promote their course. I feel you on this. And that's why I've created this program, is to remove all the extra work that was even added on top of that. So now you're talking about promoting and enrolling students, which is really important too. So I think there's a couple things. She has her first ever live webinar on Thursday, 18 people registered. I spun up some Facebook ads and to reacquaint myself with the new ads manager interface. Whew. I've seen in the group the ads aren't really recommended. It's true. I'm just hoping no one will show up, and I was hoping it would be interactive. Should I not worry about it? Okay, so yeah, ads is adding a whole other layer that I'm assuming is making you feel even more anxious. Rather than put that energy towards reacquainting yourself with Ads Manager, which is not an easy feat. Mm-hmm. Running ads and spending money on something that we don't even know is validated yet just to get more people. What are other ways that you can do to get more people? And it is about consistency. So pick the platform that you're going to show up every day. And just start doing the work. It's the groundwork of conversations. So if you want to go all in on Instagram, do it in DM, do a story every single day. Give people that workshop as best you can. If it's Facebook, then show up every day on Facebook and get those people to that workshop. I would not rely on paid traffic at this stage. It's just adding complications to something that already feels scary. So then there's some mindset stuff that I want you to think about too. So existing client work and promoting your course. I deal with this all the time in my business. Like, what do I not feel like doing, right? Like, and if it's always promotion, then it's likely some underlying factor of feeling like, what comes up for you when you feel like you're promoting? Is it that you feel gross? Is it that no one will buy? No one loves you? Those things is what all comes up. So I get it. It is hard to do existing client work and promote a course. So if that's the case, time block, show up for yourself and just do the work. That's the only thing you can do. Because if you're already self-sabotaging too and being like, no one's going to come, I'm going to be by myself and I'm going to pitch my workshop and then there's no people that are going to buy my beta, you're actually making that all happen. And so, schedule the hour, show up for it, recognize that you only need an hour every day. You don't need to go 8 hours a day promotion. Literally no one does that on the internet. And just do it, I guess is the best thing I would say. But if I could just take off the Facebook ads off your plate, that'll help, I think, already right there. Do you have any thoughts?
Why a live webinar? What's the call to action in the live webinar? And why can't you just do that consistently with Facebook Lives? Why do you need them to sign up and show up at a particular time instead of just doing Facebook Lives and teaching in little small chunks? I'm curious why, because that's another thing. That's on top of the Facebook ads. And, you don't have to do a webinar. If you're comfortable with it, go ahead. But if not a lot of people are signing
I think she's comfortable with it.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would focus on just the social media part and doing little snippets of teaching in your Facebook Lives.
Mm-hmm. Is there a contest you can run?
Mm-hmm.
If they show up live, you can give something away? That's another thing that can often help people to get people to show up too.
Mm-hmm.
Webinar related. Okay. So follow up to Christine. A few people told me not to sell the course at the end of this and drive people to a 15-minute clarity call so I could see if they're a good fit for the course or perhaps for done for you. I really want people in the course though so I can get cash flow going stat. I'm considering lowering the price. I was originally going to charge $14.97 to $500 to just get more people in and raise the price for my next launch. Side note, I've already run a 6-person beta where I charge $500, but that was to people already in my network. This is more an alpha version to get me to record the lessons. Okay, cool. I would not drop to $500 because you've already taught it. So whether it's $14.97 or $9.97 or $7.97, I just wouldn't go to $500 because just because you drop it to $500 does not mean more people will sign up. Like, there's no evidence that is true. So what is true, though, is you have already ran it, and you're doing an even tighter version of this. So I would charge more.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about charging $14.97 or $9.97. You just have to be comfortable with it. Now, I don't know who told you not to sell the course at the end.
Should definitely be a call to action at the end.
There is. The call to action is the clarity call.
Oh,
so she's saying, like, instead of pitching a $9.97 webinar course or whatever, she's pitching get on the phone.
I see.
I'm cool with that, and I can see how. Here's the positive. Getting on the phone is better market research. And if they need done for you, then you're capturing them, and that's huge. And I know you want more people in the course, but cash flow, if it's done for you, that's going to help as well. So I'm down with that advice. I just want you to be comfortable with it. The pitch is hard, and so if you're just, but you still have to pitch to get them on the phone because now they're giving up their time. Maybe it's not
basically
dollars.
A sales call
at
that point, right? So you're gonna have to be comfortable selling it like face to face, not just on a webinar to the anonymous, masses on video. So
very different, but
if you're comfortable with that,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. I can see how it's totally different. I think that's good.
Yeah. I'm open to that. And I don't think there's any right or wrong answer. They both work. So you just have to decide what feels good for you and your offer and your people and then go with that. Because either way works, pitching straight the course or doing a call. So I would consider those things. Cool. Hopefully that is helpful.
Did I capture? Yeah.
Not a question, but some coaching. That's fine, Catherine. Okay, I have one person interested at the moment, and I'm meeting for one-on-one services on Saturday that could potentially sway to the course. I'm kind of stuck in fear mode because I want people in my course and not one-on-one, but they all have a timeline. My course is test prep, and I want to do what will help them be the most successful. I guess my fear is that I get the interest guy to join the course and no one else does, and then I have to switch him to one-on-one, and he waited a couple of weeks before really getting started. On the flip side, I don't want to lose people that are willing to be a part of the beta. Okay, so this happened to me, but it was a little bit different. So I had already opened the course and had a one-on-one call with somebody and who was looking for one-on-one services. And I was like, hey, this course is probably better, but I already had enrolled students. So I think you need to go in with a little bit more of an open mind and thinking about you're not swaying anyone to do anything, and you should always start from the position of you are doing what is best for them. Because we don't want to run our businesses on being like, oh, what can I get out of you? Like, no, you're here for service, right? So if you start at that point, you've added a lot of assumptions throughout all of this. The first assumption is you're going to sway someone to a course but he really wants one-on-one or she, and they have a timeline. So then you're feeling like you have to convince them. And then the other one is if no one joins, he's switching to one-on-one and he's waited a couple weeks and that's bad. You're now assuming that he doesn't want that either and that's not good for him either. So there's a lot of assumptions being made, and I want you to be looking at it more as what are the thoughts that are coming up when what predictions am I basically making come true that aren't even real yet, right? And so that's what I think the hardest thing to do during a launch is to detach yourself from the outcome, but recognize that you are creating the results, right? And but that result, there's no judgment on that result. It's just the judgment you put on it. So what's the best case scenario? If we imagine that and lean into that, that's better for us. Like the best case scenario is the guy shows up for one-on-one and he's like, oh shoot, I was looking for a course. The price point's better. XYZ, they give reasons, awesome. And then you have your first student and that gives you confidence to keep selling and you get more students. It's always better to think about it that way. Now, worst case is helpful to also plan out because then you can see, oh, it's actually not that bad. So worst case scenario, he shows up and he doesn't want anything. He doesn't want anything from you. And he's mad that he went to that. He's not going to do that. He's coming up to you in person. He's already done his homework. So imagine worst case, you've already laid it out too. Yeah. What if he joins and no one else joins? Worst case, he's mad at you. I think you'll be able to know. I think as well, you could probably catch in that couple of weeks. It depends. If you're talking about test prep and the end goal is something specific like I need to study by this time and they feel like they lost time, you could offer him something. If you're finding that no one's picking up, you're not, the other part of this is how long is your car open for?
I have something to say about this for test prep in particular. If you're comfortable with this person starting at the start of your course, which is in a few weeks, and you're comfortable getting him and other students to the end of being able to be prepared for this exam or test that's coming up, then you know that there's a way to get it done in that much time. So it's going to work either way because you're already comfortable with the fact that if he started the beta with you and the other students on this date, which is in maybe a couple weeks, you're still comfortable with the idea that that person will be, all the students will be prepared for the test.
Yep.
So it's not like he's not going to fail, right? He's not going to fail the test. Fine, he didn't get what he wanted, maybe an extra week or two of prepping, but you have to go in with the confidence that you can teach this person and you're able to get them to the place that they need to be by the time they need to be there, no matter what.
I like that because that's why you're teaching the course the way you're teaching it. Okay, cool. And how long is your car open? Because if it's multiple weeks, I don't recommend that. I would rather you be able to make that decision quickly. And there's little things you could do for him. He could sign up and you could say, here's where you can start while we wait for the course to start. I think giving them a little nugget, an extra workshop, if that made sense, or not a workshop, but an extra study guide or something, you can appease that waiting time. And so don't keep the cart open too long. So I just want to check in on that because I really, truly recommend 7 days max just because of stuff like this.
Yep.
And again, I promise you, just because you keep it open another week doesn't mean more people sign up. That is not true. And so, I think Derek's point of you've already decided that the course is good enough to get someone to that point. It's true because you're a good teacher and you know what you're doing. And then what maybe could you do, how long is the cart open and what could you do? Could you give them some extra things so they don't feel like they're falling behind in their test prep? Can you give them an extra study hack or something like that?
Yep.
Cool. And then Tam is saying what kind of test prep? Maybe he can invite friends. I think that's great too. That's a great point too from an accountability perspective. Studying in groups is awesome, right? So maybe you could give them some sort of bring a friend for half price or something. Sweet. Yeah, Mary. I'm finding most of the stuff we do in this space is that and not we don't know enough, right? It's just what are the stories we're telling ourselves that are preventing us from taking action or feeling good about what we're doing. I even have my own little mini thing yesterday. Derek and I experienced the same phone call, the same business thing, and I walked away from the call really overwhelmed, and he's like, oh, it's fine. And then you've been really overwhelmed before, and it's always oh, what's going on in my head that is not in his head? Oh, I'm connecting this outcome to this thing that doesn't even have to reproduce that. And so once I named it, it was oh, cool. That's why I feel overwhelmed and you don't. And it's not true. And he can reflect back to me, yeah, what you're saying, that's not your responsibility. You don't need to feel that pressure. And it's great, cool. So, we do it on a day-to-day basis. Every day in business is limiting belief after limiting belief. Okay.
I think
Jula. Ooh, we've gotten this question, Christmas time. New Year, end of the school year, summer. Pretty much every month sucks to sell in if you want to come up with a reason. No, I'm just kidding. I get it. I think July's worse, if I'm being honest. I feel like if you're selling to a lot of Americans, we're already back in school. Some of our fellow Brits and people overseas don't go back in August, and they go back in true September, and August is their month off. So it doesn't matter. In many cases, August, September is excellent because people are, basically they call September the new January, because there's this fall is settling in, all of that. And I think that's already starting to happen in August. I think people are more getting back into the mode of kids are going back to school. Let's get back into a routine. And I don't think you're going to have a negative result by selling in August, unless you want to believe that. Because at the end of the day, even in December, people say this every December, I will guarantee, guarantee people are like, oh, holidays, no one wants to buy in the holidays. It's not true. That's literally the time they spend the most money. Like, they clearly want to buy. Whether they're buying for themselves or someone else is another story, but it doesn't matter. It's all about your energy and showing up. Sales, right? You know that the perfect right people are waiting for you in August to learn this right now and not wait. That's all you need to know in your head. The people who are ready don't want to wait another month. See, she was framing the kids going back to school as a negative. I was thinking it as a positive, personally. They're already thinking about how they're going to spend that time. Cool. The names behind me are students. It's sad. Poor Tara.
I know.
And Mark and Gabrielle.
Our old chair. And
our old chair
back there. Yeah.
And we're slowly actually erasing and putting new students on. I'm very behind on that. Yeah. You will get a video within your first month or two of being at BBB.
Yeah, a regular calendar event that she's supposed to do. It never happens.
And now that I haven't done it in a month, it makes it bad. But yes, those are names of all the students. It's actually really big too, this board. It's not everybody, because we've actually had to go through and start erasing people, which sounds terrible. Cool.
We talked about getting another chalkboard, actually.
We did. There has been conversation, but it wouldn't be used for that. Okay. So we got Caroline. I tried to set up a regular Zoom and the Facebook option doesn't show up to link. Does this mean I have to go with the account that is the next level up? No. There's a big thread on this, and Derek will be updating I think our curriculum is updated, right?
It is in the text, but not in the video.
So if you're watching the video, read the text also. There's a setting you have to change. Mm-hmm. That's the big announcement. It doesn't automatically show up. You have to check a box. Mine was already checked because I own the webinar software, so it just happened to work. I own the webinar level, and then I canceled the webinar level, and it still works. So it's just a setting you're going to have to do.
Yeah, it's. I give a link to it in the lesson now, so go to where the normal Zoom training is, and then there's a little italicized paragraph that says you have to check this box to get it to show up. And I have a link to the settings page. It's
smart to check your settings anyways. There's some cool stuff in there.
That too, but I think it's all the way at the bottom. It's pretty buried, but it's in there. And it shows stream live to Facebook, YouTube. I forget what the options are, but it has checkboxes next to different social media stuff that you can stream live into.
You're welcome, Caroline. It's funny, the way Zoom rolled this out has been
it's a big change.
Super under the radar. Yeah. Super under the radar. I know they're a big company. They haven't even updated their how-to, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
I had to get on chat with them. I'm like, is this really true?
Yeah.
And he said, yeah. I'm like,
so
thanks for not telling us.
Yeah. Thanks for not making a big deal out of something that's kind of a big deal, because it puts you in competition with a lot of other people. Mm-hmm. I wonder if they don't want to tell people because of all the downgrades. Now that just hit me.
Maybe.
Don't tell them we told you to downgrade. No. Their affiliate stuff is really terrible too. They do not pay very well. Anyways,
they just got some bad press also.
Oh, did they? How?
Security stuff. You probably got a forced update from them, and then Mac also rolled out an update. Apple rolled out an update to fix a loophole. As far as I can tell, it wasn't disable the software. It's gonna, drain your bank account or something like that.
I know, Caroline. I hear you on this. It's one of the things that holds me back, I think, from just showing up on camera every day, because it's a lot to be ugh. But but it's helpful to like do Instagram stories and to just get used to seeing yourself in like fully made up, perfect, you know, and then also not like today. I'm just like, blah, I'm going traveling, right? But I think the Q&A's actually help a little bit. It's like, I'm committed to this. How did I freeze? Oh my God, can we? Oh, it stopped. It froze on me going, that was so good. Yeah, I wanted to show you guys it. So funny. Yeah. Oops. Cool. All right. Awesome. Christine says, seeing her name on the board is so powerful. That gives me, that should be my motivation. I should screenshot that, and that should show up every time, every Wednesday when I'm set in the Asana, right? The event. Yeah. I think it's an Asana task. No, maybe that's probably why I don't do it, because it's a Google Calendar. Seriously. Should tell Angela. Cool. Any other questions? Oh, Rose is watching. I see you on here. See your name coming through. Caitlin. Yay, Caitlin's a new student.
Someone had problems with sound, but hopefully it works now. People were saying other people said it was loud, but yeah.
Caitlin, hi, new students. Going through the longer marketing path, totally cool, and that is fine. I'll know I want to position myself in the expert, but in terms of marketing, is there a benefit to being a personal brand as opposed to a traditional brand? Oh, Caitlin versus Caitlin's business name. Yeah, I think, there's a lot of thoughts on this, and I don't know that I'm the pro in any way, shape, or form. But I'll give you the decisions that I used and recognizing that you can change it later. So I started out as a personal brand. I still would consider myself a personal brand. But Derek and I recently joined forces, if you will, and we have a new brand coming out. We have a new company that now like lindsaympadia.com is operating under. And it's called Wealthy Teachers. And it's a lot more, traditional brand. But from a marketing perspective, it is definitely more tribe building, right? Like community centered, because people are like, oh, I associate with that versus Lindsay Padilla, right? Like, who is that person? I have to learn about her. Now there's value in having a personal brand because people connect with me as a human, and like my human story matters. And that's why I've been able to do what I've been able to do. It doesn't mean that you have to start one way or the other. I think there's just pros and cons to both. And like my business page is my name, and like you don't really blow up a business page when it's someone's name unless you're a celebrity or a public figure, which is why they use that term. Those people grow those accounts quickly because they have followings other places. I've grown mine because of Facebook ads. Typically, I'm like, yeah, I've been around for 3 years now, but it's over 3,000 likes. It's not a ton, right? And so business pages, though, and I'm in Rachel Miller's Moolah course. Well, I don't know if it's called Moolah anymore. Grow Your Audience. And she talks about this. Like no one who doesn't know you is going to be like, oh yeah, I like Lindsay Padilla. Like, why would anyone do that? Unless I'm producing like really consistent, amazing content, but that's hard. And so, but will people say, yes, I am a wealthy teacher, and I like agree with it's like more I can get behind it. So those are the things I think about. And then just know that whatever you decide now, what feels easy now, what feels like aligned with where you're headed, awesome. And when it changes and if it changes, everything is fine also.
Mm-hmm. I think no matter what, you're a personal brand just by being yourself on social media, no matter what. Like, it's not like...
Truth.
Yeah. Like you being present on Instagram as yourself, like that's part of your brand. Like, it's going to be, no matter what. Even if you have a separate like business page on Facebook.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when we were like naming our company and getting our LLC, the first go round, we did like Padilla Consulting LLC, and we just like kept it really generic because we weren't really sure, and that's fine. We decided to dissolve it. We didn't have to. We were not forced to in any way, shape, or form, but it just felt cleaner to us to dissolve it. And it's like, well, we don't do consulting anymore. We were like really proud of that. So we were like, we're going to go all in on this name, and it just so happened to be around all this other timing. So I've had lots of friends like, have personal brands, create another brand, end that other brand, like create another brand. Like, it's not as end all be all as we tend to make it seem. It's more like what will help you take action right now. Because then if you're down the rabbit hole of coming up with a really awesome name, now you've backtracked even more.
What is Emily? Does she have a business page besides her?
It's just Emily.
It's her name, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Most people.
Because her business is Hirsch Marketing, but
correct. I don't think she's changed it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think. Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of people around us who have like closer to like
I wonder if she's had a dash first.
Yeah, closer to a corporation than like some of our other friends.
Yeah. So yeah,
because she has a lot of people in her business.
Yeah, and then there's another question about like Instagram, like how do I name it? And it's like, I'm not really a pro on that. I can just tell you like choices that I've made along the way. And Instagram doesn't love it when you change your handle over and over again as far as like getting verified as an account.
Yeah.
I was following my friend Elise Dharma, who's really she's kind of an Instagram person, and she was saying that like to get that check mark, which is something lots of people want down the road, if you've changed your handle a bunch of times, that looks bad. So there's like little things that you don't know about, but also don't let that deter you. I think that's always what it is like you have to take action and like move your business forward, and then know that every decision you make in your business does not mean the end of everything. Like that you will always have to be that. We can always pivot and change, and I've done it lots of times in like different settings for sure. So cool. Depending on what you're doing too, also maybe give us some insight into what you do.
I was just thinking about my dad who like is struggling trying to figure out Instagram for his business, which is an online business, and we keep telling him to be more himself because he's posting like generic like stock photos of stuff around his company and inspirational quotes or fun pictures that aren't his, and we're like, you got to be more yourself. So I think even if you have a more traditional brand, like you said, be yourself on that brand page, like that business page, like show the person behind it no matter what. Yeah, that's just in general. I think that's working. We can see it just with the rise of like micro influencer marketing and stuff too. Like, but even big names, like I guess it's different just because social media in general, but like an Elon Musk or someone like that, like
the people
who I don't
behind
look
the
to as like a beacon of great integrity in this space, but someone who's like that large in behind a big company like not Amazon, Tesla or something like that, like he's still like a person aside from the brand.
Correct.
Who people probably follow more than Tesla, the company.
Yeah, for sure. Rose is back. It's good to hear your voice. I need a refresher after 2 runs of my course live. Still haven't built a following. Yeah. So now you've ran your course. Have you re-recorded your videos? That might feel like you're getting some movement. You might just need a win in some way, and maybe going through the audit, like the after the beta section, and really making those videos awesome and spending time on it, knowing that you've had students. Because then if your next goal is to grow a following, my suggestion, now you've gotten the course out of the way, you've carried students through, you've gotten the results, you now have testimonials to share. My advice might even be to learn like Instagram. I don't teach it, right? Like that's like, you're not going to learn how to grow an Instagram following by being in BBB. We will support you and encouraging you to show up and all of that. But now it might be like, okay, make a next business decision that says, this is how I grow my following. I would also, though, encourage you to watch Market Like a Teacher and think about starting to grow your list and creating content that you can put out that starts showing people that this is what you teach and this is why they should follow you. So that would be my focus for you. And like I said, the win that you could get is record your videos. Feel awesome about the beta that you ran. Do that in part of the course so you can move forward with that. And then, again, teach many pieces of that outside publicly of your course. So like by going through your content, watching the workshops again, you'll get reinvigorated and stuff. I've not made videos. Yeah. So go for it, man. That'll be a great way to feel like you're moving forward. Also, how are you feeling? I think last time we talked, you had just had found out you were pregnant. So we're close to that. So hope all is well. Yeah.
Build a better baby.
Cool. Where are we? I have a following, but I don't think they're my buyers. Yeah. And that's okay. And I think you definitely want to find if there's overlap, because that's awesome. And then how can you grow that? And just duplicate those ideal students. And that's really all the Market Like a Teacher. A boy, 16 weeks. Amazing. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's been that long. That's so cool. Okay. This is Caitlin. I'll be teaching how to become more intuitive, connecting with yourself more, but the idea is to be really down to earth, definitely showcasing myself a lot. That makes sense. I'm more comfortable tucking behind a brand. I also think it will make it much more obvious what I do. My guess, if your journey is like your own journey to finding your own intuition and all of that is related to you as a person, I would go with personal brand. Because you're going to be sharing a lot of your path, I bet. That's my guess, just based on what you're teaching. And I would go with personal brand. And I know that discomfort of like your name tied to like presence on social media. And having the personal brand is like professional, like personal development on like steroids. It's like a lot of work. I almost said professional development. That's like super teachery right there. I guess it is.
Gotta get your PD hours. Cool.
Sweet. Yeah, get your PD. For those of you teachers, you know what we're talking about. Awful. Your school had it set up nice though. Derek was allowed to watch like videos online.
We could listen
My
to
school
podcasts.
was not okay with that. You guys had a strong union for that. I bet it doesn't exist anymore.
It was a pretty good committee. Good.
We should make a course for them on how to start a side hustle and say that could be for professional development.
I mean, you did conferences, right? Like
True.
those counted, not education conferences.
I tried to pass one that was a very entrepreneur focused, but I think I got around with it because no one researches anything. Now we're talking side stuff. No one cares. Cool.
I don't think any of your friends that I follow on Instagram are like, I don't know what their brands are. I mean, I know what they are, but
What
like,
are you talking about?
Like people that we know through this online business space who are on Instagram that I follow, I don't know. I don't think they have Instagram accounts under those business names. Like everyone is a personal brand.
Lexi had it, and then she got rid of it. There's a woman I follow who's a copywriter whose handles like damn right, and like it's funny, and like I get it. Like I feel like I get her personality through her brand, but like the name of it isn't even a picture of her. It says damn right. It's good language, but
I didn't see that question, but let's address it now.
Niam, I'm sorry about that. We might have. Which Facebook profile do you do Facebook Live from? Business. Like, I know it sucks, but you're growing your audience. Even if you don't run ads to it, the video views, you will build that audience as it grows. So my advice is to go live there. And on your personal, you could tell people you're going live there. And then you can share it back to your personal account. Now, it will not get as many views. It's guaranteed it will not get as many views. But you have to do it because it's better for your brand.
Nicole Welsh says she got better traction.
Good. Well, so Facebook/Instagram, because they're the same, is trying to like, they're always changing algorithm stuff on the back end. Meaning, like, who knows? They could be in a state where they're like trying to get more people to watch things. They were promoting groups for a long time in the feed better than they were promoting other types of posts from a group that you're a part of. So you never really know. But it doesn't matter. Don't try to follow the algorithm or trick it. Just like do your business page because of what you're building. Another thing is it's good if your business page gets more traction because those should be your buyers. Your personal page might be your mom and your grandma and like the lady down the street. And that's all cool too. And like we love when viewer count goes up. It makes us feel good. But if they're not the viewer that's going to buy, that feeling good doesn't matter. And so especially with here, when we're trying to sell a beta and launch a beta, we want people who will, be willing to invest in what we have to offer, right? In our solution. And so that's why you want to go from the business page. So you can share it into a group. There's lots of cool things. I believe you can even boost from within a group, which is cool. So having a group tied to the page is also a positive.
And when we say for ads, we mean like if you ever go to run Facebook ads, one of the things you can pick are video viewers. So anyone who's watched a video from your biz page. So you want to have the video on the business page so you can get the audience eventually, if it gets to that point.
Tama has a good point. Yeah, okay. So mine are separate, and it is weird. People contact me all over the place. And Tama's saying basically she does acid reflux, right? She's considering dissolving her personal Insta. I'm not a professional on this. Contact your local Instagram pro. But it's hard to manage 2 accounts. Luckily, Instagram allows you to. But it's a good point. If people know you and you build up this following of people in personal, and then you launch a business, people are gonna it's gonna be mixed. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure what we're going to do. We are I have the handle for our new brand called Wealthy Teachers, and it just is more followable, I believe. And what I've seen people do is they, in their bio, share oh, I'm Lindsay Padilla and I run Wealthy Teachers. And so they're always linking back to each other. My whole thing is it's all about business page engagement and all of that. So you want to maintain that. So you can target Instagram followers in your Facebook ads account because they're Facebook owns Instagram. And so that is really important too. So as long, managing 2 accounts and having one be personal and one be a business account, Tama, if you're getting interaction on your personal account, it all depends on your business page too and how it's connected to Instagram. But I would suggest doing a business Instagram because you get certain insights and stuff like that, and that also is for engagement. So whether you want to turn and make the handle your name, or I would go with whatever has the most engagement, and you can collapse them. But there are lots of people that run 2, and then you just now have to produce social media for both. And do you want to just be a person and have an Instagram feed, or do you want to be a brand and have an Instagram feed that shows your personal life? It's kind of choices we have to make.
I think an easy, just you don't have to think about it too hard, is if you're in business for yourself, like a solopreneur, just make it your person, and that's also a business Instagram account, right?
Yeah.
And then,
what are we going to do?
That's what I'm saying is because we are now going to be a partner, we have to have our individual ones, but then also our business one is something separate from that. This Hyperfine, I have a co-host on the podcast. So there's a separate Instagram account from me as a person.
Do you find it hard to post?
Yeah, totally.
You don't really post in your personal feed.
I don't really post on either.
You post a new podcast.
Yeah, of course. When there's a new episode, I'll put it up there, and I'll do some specific things for that. I don't know. I also follow different people, and I interact with people differently. On the podcast one, I'm going in as the podcast, looking for other similar science people. So I have a physics podcast, is what this is, what I'm referring to. So I go in and talk to other physics people and science people on Instagram. I don't do that from my personal account at all. Personal accounts, friends, funny stuff.
Yeah.
But sometimes physics also, because that's just me.
So.
But my point is when there's another person, it should be a separate Instagram account. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, again, I think this question comes up a lot, and it's kind of how I teach beta too. It's it's what you're comfortable with, and recognizing that there are pros and cons to going either way. And if you feel strapped by running one account, it's going to be exemplified, right? Amplified in running 2. And then you're not posting enough at all. And then you just feel guilty, and there's all these meanings we attach to it. So that's where I'm worried. I don't want it to feel heavier. It should feel light, and it should make perfect sense. If you can't get it to be the intentions of both accounts, then you're always going to feel whatever. Instagram has made it easier. Back in the day, you used to have to log out and log in. Whoa, I don't even know how people did that. But now they want you to run multiple pages, and people do it successfully. So it's all going to be about batching and, having one be for business and the handle be the name that people want to I know when we start engaging as wealthy teachers, people are going to be clicking that because they're what? Those words don't make sense together. So we have to we're going to grow accounts based on how we interact in that, versus my personal is so whatever. I don't know. It's going to be interesting, and we'll keep you posted on decisions we're making. And of course, I'm going to obviously talk to people and get advice as well. So I'll pass on whatever we decide. But cool. It's a lot. Valinda said she started one and never posts. It's too much. Yep, I hear ya. Let's see if I can get this last question. We're all going to run betas from Facebook, but the messenger through my Facebook page is terrible. Is that just me? Or it is a problem. It's hard, and I don't love it, and I hope they're fixing it. It's definitely a nightmare. They don't make it easy. Not at all. I wish they would, because that would be great. But we're dealing with this too. It's cool, though. You can like save replies and stuff. So that's how I've been doing it. I manage mine right now, but...
Batteries running.
Cool. Awesome. You are so welcome. Thanks, Niam. Okay, cool. I have to go. I have to go catch a plane and eat some lunch before I do, so I don't have to eat plane food. Okay. Anyways, bye.
Thanks, everyone.
See you next week.
Bye.